Yo, what's up? I'm Max. That's Untitled to my right. This is Daim on the other end of the screen. Welcome to the MOCA Weekly Town Hall. How are you guys doing today? On this wonderful, was it Thursday? Wonderful Thursday. What's up?
Hello, hello. Doing well.
Hey everyone, I'm doing pretty good too. I just came off the 01 Compute AI I guess X space 2 hours ago, and that was my bit of excitement earlier in the day.
Can you give us the cliff notes on what the zero
Yeah.
Compute AI call was about?
Yeah, absolutely. So 01 is planning to launch this new I guess I'll call it a new feature that's gonna be part of the 01 experience that allows artists, and I'm fortunate enough to be among the first group doing this experiment. It's going to allow artists to basically come up with sort of interesting AI workflows that 01 users can sort of co-create artworks with. So the idea is that instead of creating like a fixed artwork or a fixed series, I actually provide 01 with the workflow for creating certain kinds of artwork, and I structure that workflow in such a way that users can basically guide how it works and what sort of outputs it produces, either through text or provided imagery or a combination of both. And basically, they get to experiment through a very kind of easy to use sort of chatbot interface with generating different outputs with my workflow and with other artists' workflows, and any that they think is like amazing enough to sort of mint. They're able to mint through 01, and it's done in sort of a thoughtful, intelligent way whereby credit and royalties flow back both to the user that produced the artwork through the workflow, but as well as to the workflow artist. And so this is what was announced, and of course, Compute AI on the cloud is going to be driving all this.
It's interesting. Like, I'm thinking about Koji AI, Untitled. Renee, y'all remember Koji, which was, I think, similar in the sense that like artists designed workflows for like a specific set or collection, and then like users could like generate those pieces or generate pieces using those workflows and parameters and then mint those pieces. I always thought that was interesting as an experiment. And I think that Koji, Untitled, you were one of the artists who I think were like a launch artist of the 6, right? It was you, Gene Kogan.
Yeah, no, we had a handful of folks. Yeah, no, it was great. I think that like that approach treating, that was where the LoRa itself was the artwork.
Yeah,
basically, you're getting a share, and there was like I do think that makes so much sense treating the workflow as the artwork, and you can own a piece of the output of that and kind of, entangle that in different ways with different collaborators. It makes a ton of sense. That's really cool.
Yeah, it definitely evolved from Koji, some in various ways.
Hmm.
But we are trying this time to abstract, and that is like a few steps in the future. Now it's like MVP, but post MVP, we are going to integrate ComfUI's agent system that they are launching, so you can then guide the workflow with words, and that is going to solve our UX issue that we had with Koji. That was still a bit too complicated for people, and now the agent tells the user what they can do. Let's say there's like a mode, day or night, and you can just talk to the agent and tell them, like, make a night version. Like, you choose a style, and then the artist asks you just to fill the gaps, and you fill those gaps with words or speech at some point, and then that is going to configure the workflow of the artist in that sense. But now, like, first, we are going to start just with prompt and image.
I wonder if like there is going to be a appetite in the market for creating work off of someone else's, like creating like outputs off of someone else's work. And I guess what I mean by that is like there's a sense that like ideally you would do the thing by yourself, you would design everything yourself, you would design artwork yourself. I don't know if there's I have no inkling to this. I'm hoping for all of your opinions. Like I truly don't know if there's an appetite for like a self-generated version of somebody else's work. If that makes
sense.
It scales your memetics or your artist legacy into the hands of like via 01, particularly Web2 people who just register with email and can own a piece.
And I think I think it's going to be one of those things like, I don't necessarily expect like, I don't know, Osinachi and like Xcopy to be creating high profile artworks of theirs with other artists' workflows, but I think this does sort of enable maybe a broader class of users to be able to sort of get into the art creation game. And I would say, like, in the case of my workflow, I was actually asked on the call how I felt about sort of opening it up to sort of broader public collaboration and sort of letting go of some of the control that normally would obviously be fully with me. And and the reason I'm not just okay with that but excited about that now is because the workflow I developed has like such a wildly diverse workflow, sorry, has such wildly diverse outputs, that I think it was going to be one of those things where if I had treated it as, this is how I'm going to make like, a series and then I'm going to be done with that, like, regardless of how many pieces I would have done, I probably still would have felt like, it was like underexplored in terms of potential and possibility. And I think having an arbitrarily large group of other artists sort of playing with it and poking at it is going to just fundamentally do a better job of kind of discovering the limits of what the workflow is capable of.
Yeah.
And also I think, in a weird way, like, as much as I think there is a desire to pretend that like all the best AI art is, like meticulous, hours upon hours of like minute human fine tuning and adjustment and editing. Um, there's definitely a lot of even good quality and like successful and well respected AI art out there where a very big part of the artist's contribution is in the curation of outputs.
Yeah.
And like this process basically puts artists other than the person who made the workflow into that position. So for my stuff, I think maybe it's less compelling if you're looking at it from the perspective of okay, I'm gonna make one artwork with it. But I think it becomes maybe more compelling and more interesting if you approach it from the perspective that here's this workflow that kind of incidentally my workflow is not known for its prompt following, so it's like kind of intentionally a bit finicky to work with because it sort of tries to give the AI model itself a larger role in determining the output. But if you approach my workflow with the idea that, okay, so I'm gonna pick, I don't know, I'm gonna pick a theme or an idea or a subject to explore, and I'm going to make like, 6 or 10 or 20 artworks with it that sort of fit that theme or idea or explore that concept, I think that potentially could end up, no less interesting and insightful than something that you might have rolled fully yourself, from scratch.
I guess I just wonder, and I can see both sides of the argument, right? Like, on one side, I wonder if people are going to be so interested in like helping essentially tell another artist's story or playing another artist's world. I think that there is something, at least with art, it's like I'd rather just make it myself or not make it, than like playing in someone else's atmosphere. Although on the other hand, I totally see how like it is kind of an unprecedented level of like interaction and like cooperation with an artist if they are like designing like the rules of the game and you are kind of like pushing the game forward and trying to break it and playing it and all, like, or not trying to break it, but like pushing it out in all these different directions. Like I do think that is quite remarkable and quite innovative.
And I think that something that I like most is that instead of giving them like a blank sheet of paper, like you have with Midjourney or like any cloud image generation thing, every artist with their styles give them like a direction or like guidance what they should prompt by describing their workflow, and that helps the people to get going. I think if you just have like an empty chat box and you can imagine everything, it's hard for people who are not that creative to make a decision like where to go, like what to type. Can be quite overwhelming, I think.
It feels a little bit like early, Dada. It feels very Dadaist, right? Like, someone starts the kind of thread, so to speak, with a title and a sketch, and then the next person who signs up has to kind of react to that sketch and continue the theme, and then so on and so on, and you have this kind of long scroll. This is the Dada art platform for those who don't remember it, but
Yeah.
really like beautiful conversation as art is what they did. And then they would tokenize like the full thread, so to speak, and all of the artists who participated would be able to get a piece of that sale because they were part of that lineage. This feels like it's kind of an AI version of that in a way, reacting to kind of the sort of, you can, I don't know. It's super interesting. I think we're at this weird point, right, where it's just we're at this kind of like moment where art and media and just content creation in general in the digital world we live in, it's all changing so quickly. So it's tough to figure out exactly what people want to create and what people want people to do with their creations. It's kind of a weird moment for that.
And I think the Vibe Studio has only broadened that, like from the narrative perspective, because it will be memes and like PFPs and like what is happening in Web3, like whatever story or direction you want to give people with like an application. I think it can just be like tons of fun. And for some, like they will get like a meaning or a direction, like where to go, like especially while NFTs are so stuck. Maybe that can reignite like the dynamics and the social movement around content, and instead of just using Twitter and being negative, you know.
Yeah, I think with the Vibe Studio, which for those just hopping in, that's a big part of MOCA's future is, creating these almost impromptu tools that are going to be accessible to folks who are in the Deco MOCA ecosystem. And yeah, I think that is going to be a tremendous resource and library for people to basically keep track of the conversation in a way. Like if we're able to create, these series of tools that everyone can kind of react and kind of understand things through, I think that's just going to be very powerful and really a preferred way to understand and digest what's happening. Like these processes are kind of like the secret code of figuring out how the internet is evolving and where the conversation starts and ends. It's just very interesting.
Yeah, I think like having it as like also like a web app or part of our like software stack in the web in the beginning, but then at some point I can already see like hyperfile worlds where like such a story or Vibe Studio co-creation workflow or whatever is less just sitting there like a festival ground where like lots of different opportunities sit around, and then you can interact with it in Hyperfy and just speak the prompt into it, and you get like, I don't know, like the generation like right in front of you on the wall framed or whatever, like the 3D world around that particular story is. And then you have like all the different places that you can visit and use your AI ways to dig into AI.
I mean, I think that like you saying that, like you hit on something that's really important here, which is like there's an extra step involved in so much of this right now, right? It's like the thing about decos, right? We generated the decos, we got these images, and then we had to mint the images, right? You had to, if you want to make like a hyperfy something or other, right? You have to like mint the file, or you have to like generate the file and then add the file to the app. And I feel like it'll be like the prompt or like creation step into the like finalization step will be so interesting for people. It'll be like prompt to generate an object, and that object automatically populates in the hyperfy room, like you said, Renee, or like prompt to generate a piece, and that piece automatically mints itself. That I think that's going to be a really, really powerful, like not value add, but like just taking away all the middle steps and just like having the entire workflow from ideation to fruition happen like kind of as soon as you generate.
Well, for those who haven't seen yet, you've got to check out the Vibe playground in Hyperfy. It's incredible to just browse around and walk around. If you go to vibe.hyperfy.xyz, anyone can do this. You can join in, and then basically you're using Grok to
vibe.hyperfy.xyz.
Yes.
I'm joining.
Do it. It's so cool. I generated some weird shit the other day.
Do you have any interest in like sharing your screen and showing us what that looks like?
Let's see if I can do that.
You don't have to, but
yeah, please do.
I can also share my screen and we can go with.
Oh, share yours, my friend. I have too much crap on my, on my system right now. I need to vibe my desktop into a better place. It's awful. All this stuff.
Okay, here we go. Just vibes.
Look at all this. All of this is AI generated objects that random people have contributed to the world. How cool. Like, honestly, this is what the metaverse is about. Like, being able, I mean, to our point earlier, like, we're building tools that complement this. This is all open source. We're going to be using this to basically build and develop environments around your art collection so that we can have better conversations in a virtual setting that aren't static. They're dynamic, they're interesting, they go with the flow of the conversation, and you can react to it in different media. I think that's all the Vibe Studio is doing, is like this. Oh, so Max, if you go if you type /, okay, now type create space, oh no, / create, and then space, and then whatever you want. Like, you could type in a sphere, red. Yeah, there you go. Do something interesting. So it'll take a minute, but we can chat as we're doing that. So that's the object that it generated in front of you. And now in the back end, this is using some wizardry and Grok, actually, to generate a 3D compatible object in world. So it could take a minute, but if you look around, that's what people are doing. People are doing all sorts of stuff.
That's all this is just
all of that has been like prompted.
Oh, there's your guy. There's your monkey holding ham. That is silly.
Okay, hold on. Wait, this is actually so sick.
Yeah. And that's how we want to like enable people to build their art exhibitions in the future. Like, just like grab rooms, then you have the ability to prompt stuff around it. Maybe prompt the entire room.
Did that work?
It might have it likely went to the ground. So that I think Ash did it so that you can't prompt in the sky. Otherwise, it would get really
in the sky.
I think so. You could grab it and move it wherever you want.
Oh.
For a moment, I thought that dragon was a Klingon bird of prey.
Let me grab it.
Look at that guy.
Okay, first of all, that's not Guy. That's Luffy.
Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry.
For my butterfly.
Monkey D. Luffy.
Thank you very much. That is exactly who we're talking about. Oh, is this my butterfly? Can I put anything in the sky?
You probably can. Be gentle.
I can.
You can. Don't ruin the world.
I'm not ruining the world.
Oh my God, Max. Someone else is vibing with you somewhere in there.
I got the dragon.
That's Renee. Yeah.
I'll give you the dragon, Max.
So, I mean, this is clearly the future of how the metaverse is going to evolve, right? Like, you're going to have these basically spatial websites where you can generate anything in real time in cooperation with the people around you. That's the future of websites in general.
And everybody's like in world and basically coding with text inside the engine. Like, you have like a pop-up and can edit like the whole stuff that you've generated, or can write stuff from scratch. It's really interesting that you don't even need to leave the application to modify also. And
it's very social media-y in the sense that like nothing's static. I think like when I think about the metaverse in any kind of real way, shape, or form, I'm so influenced by like Snow Crash. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, there it is.
You're supposed to be basketball.
So silly.
Can I make it bigger?
Yeah, you can scale it. So if you see on the left there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is grab, 2 is translate, 3 is rotate, 4 is scale. So if you tap 4, there you go. Yeah, you can do if you could do the base scale. You do just y-axis, so or x-axis. What is it?
This is so cool. Okay, wait. So the point I was making was that like you have a Snow Crash, right? Where like the world is consistent. Like you're going to continuously return to the same places. Like someone has ownership over like a bar, say, and that bar is going to like look exactly as it did for the most part, outside of who's in it. It'll look the same on a Monday as it does on a Tuesday. But if you're using a space like this and you have sufficient like players in it, then you're essentially never returning to the same place. In the same way, like a Twitter page or an Instagram timeline, like it's the same general external structure, but everything that's in it is constantly changing just based on like what people are posting at any given time.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
So fascinating, and which is so cool.
I mean, that's the whole problem with the first iteration of I can't call it the first, but the most recent iteration of the metaverse with land, where people would build these static structures that all mimicked real world structures and everything. And it was so static. It took a very long time to install the GLB or FBX files on those sites, and they were not easily editable by anyone, even the person who owned it. So that's a huge problem. That doesn't really, that's not kind of improving on anything. It's just making these static environments where in reality, they should be extremely vibrant, extremely agile, and reflexive for what the conversation is and who's there.
Also, these automatic colliders are crazy.
Yeah, also look at how much is around you and it's all like working.
It's so fluent. The performance of the new engine is insane.
Yeah.
So
almost all the colliders.
Is this Hyper-5 V2?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we're going to have. We're going to have rooms in this so that people can basically vibe their own. They can build their own environment around art and have that be accessible. And then the beautiful thing about this entire world is a .hyp file type. So Ash has built a file type for this that you can download and then reopen in any Hyper-5 world. And it will carry all of the objects, environments, coded features within it with it. So that's a very interoperable file type that you can take with you, with your character, and upload it into a new world that you visit.
This is wild.
You should check out Vox has been sharing some insane experiments around this stuff. Very, very cool.
Oh, I accidentally planted a TIE fighter into the ground. It's like circling. Do you see it? It's like instead of flying, it's in the ground.
Oh, yeah. No, you got to give it air.
Let me give it air.
Oh, that's scary. We need more Star Wars references in this.
It's funny the sporadic moments I have with the metaverse where I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, got it.
It's like a next level moment, right?
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. That, like, you can just I don't know. Like,
I wonder, can you do it? I'm going to check now. Can you do it where it's like, surprise me, Grok? Will it do that? We probably should have told Ash that we were going to hop in. We could have gotten more folks in here. You can also, for those watching this and testing it for the first time, if you go into the upper little hamburger menu on the upper left, you have a ton of different abilities to change the quality of this. You can update the graphics to make them better, shadows better, that kind of thing.
Chugging.
What's that?
My computer is already chugging.
I wonder. Yeah, you can make it 0.5 the graphics resolution. It'll be a little bit. It's pretty retro looking. It's kind of cool, actually.
No shadows for Max.
Yeah.
Eternal sunshine.
I have a shadow.
You can turn them off though if you want your computer to breathe.
I think I'm going to stop sharing and just turn this off before the whole thing explodes. It's wild. Why did I not know that was happening?
You were too.
Like it's getting more visible. our vision and what we're trying to explain. Like, it was just hard to convey it, and now with this makes it much easier to like showcase how to build something entirely by chatting and drag and dropping a few things. Will be way easier than it was in the past.
I think we were, the news right now is very much dominated by Sandbox at the moment, and rumors are swirling. Whether or not they are true or not, it seems that some of it is true, some of it might not be. But lots of metaverse drama these days. And for those who don't know, it seems as if Sandbox is going through a moment of transition. It doesn't appear, there were rumors that there was a meme coin launchpad pivot happening, but I don't think that's true from what I saw most recently. I haven't listened to their statement officially yet, which I think they had something come out about an hour ago, or an interview, but I haven't listened to it yet.
Too busy coding in Hyperfly, huh?
Yeah, I look, I love all the worlds. I love every attempt to kind of find, explore new mediums in a virtual setting. I think it's just interesting. I'm in it for, it's an interesting experiment. To me, though, Sandbox was always very difficult to use. I never knew anyone who used it consistently. And I just don't really like the land model. And they were probably the biggest land model proponents because they just continuously sold so much land. I think they sold $300 million worth of virtual land.
Yeah, and I still didn't log in. I don't know. They say it's still better. Just release it. I mean.
Yeah. It appears they are restructuring. They cut half of their staff. They closed 5 offices, apparently. I didn't even know they had 5 offices. That sounds excessive. But I don't know. It has been a very venture capital led metaverse project, and there's only so long that a venture capital firm can subsidize all of the different, Snoop Dogg collaborations and things like that. It's just not realistic if you have no users.
What is I want to just stick with this vibe code Hyperfly thing for a second. Like, what's the end game of that? Can you walk me through like what possibilities does this inspire for you?
Oh, I've been chatting a lot. Do you guys have Renee, Daim? I'll go after you guys if you have a thought, because I've been talking a lot.
I'll go first.
Well, I think Renee should definitely cover that one.
Renee, do you want me to go first or you first?
You go first.
I think it very much aligns with how we have been hoping that the metaverse would evolve to something much like this. I think this is, for art, this is very important that you have an agile environment that is dynamic, that multiple people can collaborate on and in real time. That is like a very, very essential part of a truly open metaverse. And also, by the way, it should be open source, which I think allows it to survive. It gives a world longevity. It gives it strength and structure. And Hyperfly has those components. For art and settings around art, like for us at the museum, it's very important that art has these abilities. I think the way that this evolves, this is the big scale of this restructures the potential of every single website. Every website can be a spatial environment that is no longer static. It's going to make every website look like an ancient scroll by comparison, because you have just a vertical feed of information that is static and that sits there and is hard to edit. But with a spatial environment, you have people who can enter through it by all these different angles, right? You can have mobile, you can have desktop, you can have VR headset. This is what Hyperfly is. You can enter it in VR. By the way, it's very compatible in VR, that environment that we just saw. So you need to have this like hyper agility of a environment that I think is just going to restructure the web, honestly. Like this is the promise of what the metaverse was doing, is that it's that next step in the evolution of the internet and how we communicate and interact online. I really think that this is the closest I've seen to that. And that's the promise that led us down this path to begin with, in various ways. And I think this is that.
It's a good pitch.
I don't know. But yeah, I think like,
I mean, how does this change like your work, I suppose, or like your style, your process? Like, does this have like what kind of impact does something like this proliferating have on like you as an artist?
it's huge, because a lot of my work, especially you've seen with rooms and you've seen with forms and arcs, I do these very modular 3D environments. And one of the most exciting things about Hyperfy is they do this brilliant way of instancing objects. So if you copy and paste an object, it doesn't add any additional workload to loading the website. It still reads it as one object. So what's nice from my perspective, like this is very specific to my kind of art form, but I really believe strongly in modularity in metaverse designing. And I think instancing and Hyperfy is radical for that. So I've been working on kind of a way of showing this off a bit, but you can take like a prefabricated design that I've done. Some of them look like Tetris pieces for those who are thinking about what I'm even talking about. So you can take a Tetris piece and you can copy and paste it a million different configurations and build really interesting environments that are super complex, but very low and easy to load. And that I think that's a performance thing, but I think it's also like people are figuring out what is the medium of these environments. What does it look like? Is low poly okay? Is high poly okay? Like where does it land? I think someone like Vox has really illustrated that there's an incredible amount of complexity you can get in environments like this through understanding optimization rules and the loads of what a 3D object will yield in a website. So there's a lot of cool things like with texture atlases and of course with instancing that are going to radically change the complexity of what we see. But yeah, I think that ultimately allows us to build museums with wings and with all of these different rooms that can handle, and in a website that can handle it very easily. That's always been a big challenge for us, is basically being able to load a full museum into a world. I think now we're there.
Yeah, I think like as Ash has built so many optimization pipelines into the new Hyperfy engine, and the fact that we can also use AI to optimize the topology from any room basically, and create like low poly derivatives from them so they can load better. I think this step is going to actually like allow us to spawn the entire museum in its full curation state. And like once that's possible, you can build like any museum on the world into it, like from a scale perspective, because how many pieces do you have? If you can do tens of thousands, everything should be covered. And it multiplies fairly quickly when you like take 100 for 64 slot rooms or whatever. Like it's just different when you can like curate all of it automatically and texture it with the art just by voice, by talking to like a deco architect agent that's trained particularly to the SDK of Hyperfy and the way you would like prompt stuff like that, what the user requests. And then it gets like way easier for people to use the stuff that we've been using for years ourselves with the curation stack and MOCA rooms, but use it by just talking to it and then spawn hundreds of them using Hyperfy.
It's awesome.
Metaverse is back, baby.
Yeah, all we needed was fucking Sandbox to be our blood sacrifice.
We need $1 billion sacrifice first.
Sacrifice. One thing I'd like to, I totally switching up gears here, admittedly. So if anybody has a final thought on Metaverse, speak now or forever hold your peace, or at least until next week. But I'm curious how you guys feel about Pindar Van Armen's reflections. Those had an interesting kind of resurgence this week, I think, in terms of public discourse about that project, which were they minted a while ago, I think, maybe like a year ago or so. And they seem to now be kind of all over my feed, minted in January 2024, so a year and a half ago. And they seem to be all over my feed, and people are now just like agreeing that this is a masterwork. And I'm just curious if you guys have opinions on that. Obviously, I love Pindar. I'm an avowed supporter of Pindar. I wrote an essay for Pindar's monograph. Like, I'm not sure I'm an unbiased observer here, but it was still kind of just surprising to see like any kind of like OG artist who has not in the last 3 years managed to constantly eclipse massive sales numbers to get kind of what seems to be new traction. I know Pindar is like an unusually important and respected artist, both within crypto art and even outside of it. But I'm just curious if you guys have thoughts on that.
I definitely do. I'm my bias is I minted some of these, so I very much like them. And I'm an early fan of Pindar as well. I feel like, Reflections, such an interesting take on the PFP project. These are, very complex on-chain objects. They take on-chain to the PFP kind of environment, in a similar complexity level to some, I would say similar to cyber brokers in a way, but maybe much more in alignment with Pindar's art form and his kind of like man and machine aesthetic. Pindar is an exceptional and historically important artist in this space. He's at the kind of this interesting intersection between the AI movement, the crypto movement, and also like really complex robotics as well. Like he's created really interesting things, and this is just a beautiful collection of his that really captures all of these elements put together. I'm just really fascinated with his medium. I think the ability to kind of, trace over time to his work and see early on his experiments with a robotic painting arm, kind of him collaborating with it. There's nothing more interesting, honestly. Like, it's so fascinating to see his works evolve over time, because they're following the technology as it evolves as well. And so Reflections, I think, is a good kind of like medium between crypto on-chain provenance and AI execution and other breakthroughs. Really, I think, an important series.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say specifically about Reflections per se, but I will say that in my view, Pindar is in my book, one of the most interesting AI artists, or I guess I'm trying to say one of the AI artists who creates the most consistently interesting AI art. So, I think it's definitely well deserved.
It's so great to see a project like this getting visibility, because I think all too often we're just, I'm so tired of like these kind of VC powered projects getting, momentum in the NFT market. And I think I don't really understand why some of these dead PFP projects have been pumping in volume and value. So it's always good when there's any kind of like true artists being celebrated and being spoken about, and people really not just taking the time to kind of like, celebrate floor price, which is I think just exceptionally boring, but really taking the time to talk about the work and the process behind it and the artist's intent. So I think, unfortunately, we're still very much in the floor price kind of like talk thread mode of things. But imagine, like, if you could have an environment where people are all together looking at the artwork, wouldn't that bring a much healthier dialogue for art in general, digital art in general, than everyone being stuck on Twitter, basically with competing threads about, their top 10 bags? It's just so we're better than this. We can do better than this. So we should.
I mean, it's just, I think, rare to see any kind of like conversation about like, nobody's ever going to let go of the importance of floor price for obvious reasons, but like, it's nice, I suppose, refreshing, and it's a low bar, admittedly, but it's refreshing that people are like, oh, this art is so interesting, this process is so interesting, this artist is so respected and innovative, thus it gets this floor price, as opposed to the inverse, which is like, oh, look at this floor price, now we have to make justifications for why this thing is innovative or exciting, which I feel like is often the way that this goes.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
and I think the setting that Untitled suggests just fundamentally changes how much these competing messages can sort of resonate. Like on Twitter, somebody with a shitload of followers posts some dumbass bullshit, and Twitter is going to be shoving it in millions of people's faces for the next 7 days, if not more. Whereas it doesn't matter how many followers you have as as a wealthy crypto art collector, you're not gonna stand around 24/7 in a shared crypto art showcase space and yammer nonsensically about your pet theories about who are the greatest artists in the space. What you're going to get in those spaces as someone that sort of dips in and dips out is genuine people's genuine opinions, if they care to share it. And those conversations will have partly will have their genuineness coming from that place of ephemerality. And I probably don't know how to pronounce that word correctly, but basically from the fact that the statements said there are being spoken for that immediate private fleeting audience that the person has, as opposed to being sent out into the ether with great hopes of going viral or being noticed by influential collectors or whatever else.
100% Thane. I feel like when you tweet, not to take from 0-1 in this context, but it's very 0 or 1. You're tweeting sometimes for nothing or for everything, and it's like there's no flexibility really in the in between, and there's so much more in between in a conversation when you're just casually around a bunch of people talking about the work.
Yeah, I mean, tweeting is basically performance art in a way, not in a
Right.
good way, mind you, but in a way. Funny, kind of talking about this. Often when I speak with like somebody who's not familiar with the crypto art scene, I describe crypto art Twitter as being like a regional real estate convention, in that the people who are interacting, a lot of them do genuinely know each other and have some sort of a you know reasonably genuine connection and like familiarity with each other, but still at the same time, like a lot of what's being said is being said from like a networking and business mindset.
Ditto.
And hopefully having spaces where there is genuine reason to to be present occasionally, and there's possibility for informal interactions will bring a little bit of, I don't know, healthiness, or increase the healthiness of the scene overall.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's just refreshing that anybody's ever, again, refreshing, low bar, but refreshing to see people saying like, oh, this art's awesome. It's undervalued. Not like, oh, this financial investment is undervalued. I've been very put off recently by, well, and this should come as no surprise, by that Raoul Paul guy just talking about how great Xcopy is for the umpteenth time. And I'm like, all right, bro, like, again, what arguments have we made that haven't already been made for why this person is deserving of many, many millions of dollars in floor price? It's just nice to see someone else getting any kind of spotlight or attention for a moment, especially someone like Pindar. Anything else you guys want to talk about today? Anything else on anybody's mind?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm excited. We've got a lot going on behind the scenes here. We've got some good stuff, so I'm excited to
We
see.
sure do.
Excited to see how MOCA takes shape as we get towards the end of the year here. I think exciting times.
This end of the year, it's still fucking August, bro.
Sorry, end of the summer. My bad. End of the summer.
I can't let time move fast, any faster than it currently is. You'll just enjoy this moment while it lasts.
Enjoy it, soak it in, breathe the air. I hope you're outside, Max. I hear like bugs.
I have a big window in my room. Well, I can just show you, I guess. Well, I guess I can't. I can turn this.
Is it the summer that you want to continue, or is it just the winter you don't want to start, Max?
No, it's just the end of the year. Like,
oh yeah.
I have this big window in my room, so I have that cracked open.
Glorious.
Yeah, no, it's not like it's not about time of year. It's just like, it's like, whoa, we still got like 4 months. We still got like a third of the year. Like, let's not rush towards the end of the year yet. We still got so many wonderful things coming up. It's not even Labor Day. Just enjoy the end of the summer while it's still here. And then when it's fall, we can enjoy that. And it's the holidays, we can enjoy that. When it's winter, we can enjoy that. But, sorry.
Yeah, no, be in the moment, crypto art. Be in the moment. I think that's the lesson broadly, right? Like if we're in the moment and we can build better tools and interfaces, environments, whatever, to enjoy. Build what?
Build back better.
Right. Oh God.
Yeah. If you're in the moment, you're informal and you're genuine, and you're not spouting PR statements.
Propaganda.
Very much. Yeah.
We're all in agreement, I think, on that. And it's the frame of mind endorsed by the Museum of Crypto Art. On that note, I feel like we should get out of here. I feel like we've talked a lot. We've done a lot. We've gone to the metaverse and back. We've talked about some artists we like. Shall we kick it?
Yeah. I think we did well.
Well, Renee, Diane, Untitled, thank you all very much for being here. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll be back next Thursday, and we hope you have a great week until then. We'll see you all real soon.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.